Hey Sydney, this is Mrs. Skogland. Just wanted to give you some feedback on your summer assignment. And so we're mostly going to talk through chapter 2, which is the question that you had starred, but I'll kind of reference some other parts of your project as we're going as well. Okay? So to start off, the first thing I always look for in a strong body paragraph is a good topic sentence, which should ideally answer this question provided and sort of preview what's coming in the paragraph. So I think, Sydney, like you have topic sentences for sure. The issue I had is that sometimes, especially in like this paragraph, they sort of like reference the question but don't really answer it. So for example, the question is actually, what are the careers that are being impacted and how is that happening? And so like you just say the author touches on the fact that jobs that used to be easy are now harder to find. I don't know that that's related to the question, definitely, but do you see how you're not really telling me like what some of those are specifically, although I do think you get to how they're being impacted. So I would just encourage you really make sure that you are answering all parts of the question, especially in that introductory sentence. Next, I actually look at the end of your paragraph to your concluding sentence. And again, we want this to kind of go back up to the question and provide sort of like the importance or some significance to it. So I thought you did a good job of kind of saying, like tying the careers into the right-brained approach, and I thought that was a good way to sort of allude to what Pink is going to talk about in the rest of the book. Again, I do wish you'd maybe done a little bit more with like the career portion of the question, but a pretty good concluding sentence. Okay, next on evidence, Sydney. I so wanted to give you a better score on this because I think that you are really close on embedding or like integrating your evidence. Like this says, Victor or Werner or whatever his name is says anybody with even routine skills. So I like how you have sort of this little introduction to the quote and you have a comma to separate it. The only thing we would change is just capitalizing the quote there. The issue, Sydney, is that body paragraphs, our expectation is that they have 2 pieces of evidence, and in your paragraphs I only saw 1. So that would be something that would be great for you to revise. Is I think you sort of allude to some other evidence that you could have gotten from the chapter. So I would encourage you to go back and actually get those direct quotes in, just because again, now that we're moving to sophomore English, we really want to see multiple pieces of evidence per paragraph. That also sort of affected your commentary. So I thought that you had really good commentary about the quotes that you had. Like I liked how you said, basically like, this is why L-directed thinking doesn't work and people have to learn new skills. But again, without a second piece of evidence, I didn't really have a second piece of commentary to evaluate. So again, that would be a great thing to go back and revise. All right, next I looked at your conventions and citations. So citations, we want to make sure you don't end the quote with any punctuation. The period should come after the quote. So that's something to go back and fix. Obviously, just make sure you're doing proofreading. Like I noticed Asia is not capitalized here. And then in this paragraph, we want to avoid personal pronouns like I. So just say, EQ is R-directed and is the opposite of L-directed. So just kind of watch that. Your R-directed questions looked really good, and I loved the story that you wrote for chapter 1. I thought it was super creative and really just showed me that you understood the differences between L and R-directed thinking. So just a little feedback for